Hello and welcome to Lyra Nara. Have you ever heard about give-up-itis? No, I hear you say? Well, you should, because even though this is an unscientific term, it's an unscientific term for a very real scientific condition that can lead to death. So, let's dive right in and learn more about what give-up-itis really is and why you should pay attention to it. So, what is give-up-itis? Well, new research has found out that people can die simply because they've given up, life has beaten them, and they feel that defeat is inescapable. Give-up-itis is a term that is used to describe what is known medically as psychogenic death. It usually follows a trauma from which a person thinks there is no escape, making death seem like the only rational outcome. Such a trauma can stem from, for example, from defeating fatal diagnosis such as terminal cancer, etc., or a hopeless situation that you feel you are in. Death actually usually occurs 3 weeks only after the first stage of withdrawal. So very quickly you can die from psychogenic death. If you've given up, you can die very quickly. Dr. Leach, the lead researcher, said that psychogenic death is real. It is not suicide, it isn't linked to depression, but the act of giving up on life and dying, usually within days, is a very real condition, often linked to severe trauma. Give-up-itis could stem from a change in the frontal subcortical circuit of the brain that governs how a person maintains goal-directed behavior, he said. And the likely candidate in the brain is the anterior cingulate circuit, which is responsible for motivation and initiating goal-directed behaviors. Dr. Leach further said that severe trauma might trigger some people's anterior cingulate circuit to malfunction. Motivation is essential for coping with life, and if that fails, apathy is almost inevitable. Death isn't inevitable, however, in someone who suffers from give-up-itis and can be reversed by different things at each stage. The most common interventions are physical activity and/or a person being able to see a situation that is at least partially within their control, both of which will trigger the release of the feel-good chemical known as dopamine. Dr. Leach said that reversing the give-up-itis slide towards death tends to come when a survivor finds or recovers a sense of choice, of having some control, and tends to be accompanied by that person licking their wounds and taking a renewed interest in life. And according to this research, give-up-itis comes in 5 stages, and it gets progressively worse as you advance through those stages. The first stage is social withdrawal. Usually after psychological trauma, people in this stage can show a marked withdrawal, a lack of emotion, listlessness, and indifference, and become self-absorbed. Dr. Leach said that withdrawal can be a way of coping, to pull back from any outward emotional engagement, to allow an internal realignment of emotional stability, for example, but if left unchecked, it can progress to apathy and extreme withdrawal, which are the next stages. So the second stage is apathy, which is an emotional or symbolic death. Profound apathy has been seen in prisoners of war, for example, and in survivors of shipwrecks and aircraft crashes. It's a demoralizing melancholy different to anger, sadness, or frustration. It has also been described as someone no longer striving for self-preservation. People in this stage are often disheveled, their instinct for cleanliness gone. Dr. Leach said one prisoner of war, who was also a medical officer, described being in this stage as waking each morning but being unable to summon the energy to do anything. Others describe it as a severe melancholy where even the smallest task feels like the mightiest effort. Then the third stage is so-called abulia, which is a severe lack of motivation coupled with a dampened emotional response, a lack of initiative, and an inability to make decisions. People at this stage are unlikely to speak, frequently give up washing or eating, and withdraw further and deeper into themselves. At this stage, a person has lost intrinsic motivation, which is their ability or desire to start acting to help themselves. But they can still be motivated by others through persuasive nurturing, reasoning, antagonism, and even physical assault. Once external motivators are removed, the person reverts to inertia. And Dr. Leach had the following to say about that. An interesting thing about abulia is there appears to be an empty mind or a consciousness devoid of content. People at this stage who have recovered describe it as having a mind like mush or having no thought whatsoever. In abulia, the mind is on standby and a person has lost the drive for goal-directed behavior. End quote. The fourth stage is called psychic akinesia, a further drop in motivation. The person is conscious but in a state of profound apathy and unaware of or insensitive to even extreme pain, not even flinching if they are hit, and they are often incontinent and continue to lie in their own waste. A lack of pain response is described in a case study in which a young woman, later diagnosed with psychic akinesia, suffered second-degree burns while visiting the beach because she hadn't removed herself from the sun's heat despite the pain she was feeling. And the fifth and final stage is called psychogenic death. Dr. Leach describes this final stage as the disintegration of a person. He said, quote, "It's when someone then gives up. They might be lying in their own excreta and nothing, no warning, no beating, no pleading can make them want to live." End quote. And if you've ever visited a nursing home, unfortunately, you can observe different stages of give-up-itis very often there. In a study of nursing home patients, apathy was linked with an increased risk of dying over a 4-month period, even after controlling the depression. The study also found that apathy was present in half of the nursing home patients. Apathy is defined by diminished or lack of motivational, goal-directed behavior, as well as a lack of cognition and emotional effect. It leads to reduced interest and participation in the main activities of daily living. Nursing home residents with dementia are less likely to be apathetic if they live in an appropriately stimulating environment. So this is the good news that apathy can actually be reversed, as are all of the stages that we've discussed of give-up-itis. And apathy is one of the most common neurobehavioral symptoms in dementia, with about 90% of older adults with dementia experiencing it. Those with mild dementia will decline more quickly into severe dementia if they also suffer from apathy, making it important to help them stay engaged. Persons with dementia who are also apathetic won't be curious about the world around them. They are not motivated to carry out activities nor engage with those around them in either a positive or negative way. So what can we do about it? Well, a clear and strong environmental stimulation was the most significantly associated with a lower apathy level in the residents. Clear stimulus is found in an environment without competing background noise and with a single straightforward stimulus. A good example of this is a therapist leading a music therapy program for residents in an otherwise quiet room. The strength of the stimulus depends on how intense, persistent, interesting, and out of the ordinary it is. Routine activities such as a regular conversation or meal are considered moderate stimulation, while a birthday party, for example, is considered strong stimulation. The same stimulation may be perceived differently or bring about different responses also for different individuals in the same environment based on the individual's characteristics, interest, and relevance to the stimulation. So there you have it. Give-up-itis is real. It is not suicide nor depression. Trauma from a devastating diagnosis, for example, fatal cancer or escapeless, hopeless situation such as a nursing home, can lead to a very quick death. Death is not inevitable, however, and that's the good news. Give-up-itis can be reversed by different means at each stage of this decline. People must be helped to regain their self-confidence and motivation to live and not give up. And reversing the give-up-itis slide towards death tends to come when a survivor finds or recovers a sense of choice, of having some control, and tends to be accompanied by that person licking their wounds and taking renewed interest in life. So, you can have the best medication in the world, the best medical solution in the world for your illnesses. If you give up, this will be of no help at all. You must take care of your motivational aspect as well. Stay positive and never give up. And with that being said, I hope that you've enjoyed this presentation. If you did so, please do not forget to like, share and subscribe. And until next time, don't give up and stay healthy.